happened this way. There was this blue swirling smoke,
Mm-hmm.
and then our leader appeared in the smoke, and he went over to the left. And then inside the same blue swirling smoke was Israel's leader, and he appeared, and he went over to the right. And then between them, the smoke split and opened up, and the crown prince of Saudi Arabia appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a 3-cord winding, and I watched this rope appear.
Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast, a father-daughter duo focusing on sharing revelations through conversations with the Lord. Let's get started with today's episode. Welcome to Carting Truth Podcast. I'm Lindsay here with my dad, Shane, and it is time for another prophetic update. We have had lots of stuff recently prophesied on our channel, and we are seeing those come to pass. So we're going to talk about that and also a deeper understanding of a vision that my dad had. So we cannot wait to get started with you today.
Now, Lindsay, I had a vision sometime back that we did a podcast on, and some more understanding has come to that vision that I did not know when we did that podcast. And that's something the Lord showed me this week. And also, there's some things that we had prophesied that's come to pass, and there's some things that's coming up. There's a UN meeting that we need to talk about. All kinds of things that we need to discuss today about our world and about what's coming on. So that vision happened this way. There was this blue swirling smoke,
Mm-hmm.
and then our leader appeared in the smoke, and he went over to the left. And then inside the same blue swirling smoke was Israel's leader, and he appeared, and he went over to the right. And then between them, the smoke split and opened up, and the crown prince of Saudi Arabia appeared.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a 3-cord winding, and I watched this rope appear. And they were all looking down, so I looked down to see what they were looking at, and they were looking at this rope. And I believe that rope is the Abraham Accords. And that happened, we'll put part of that episode up, and then you can tag it at the end.
Several months ago, yeah.
Yes, several months ago.
Mm-hmm.
But what I didn't understand about that vision is that when it cleaved in two, and our leader went left, and Israel's leader went right, that there would be a rift between them. And that's what's happening.
Yes, who would have thought?
Now, whenever our leader was running, he had made a comment that he said that he wasn't so sure about the two-state solution any longer.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, he's going to change his mind, because what I'm getting from the Lord is that he is sent to bring that about.
Mm-hmm.
So that means he would have to change his mind.
Well, we're the channel that told you 2025 is the time the two-state solution should take place. Of course, Israel's not even thinking about that now, and Trump don't believe that it's a good idea, but there's something going to happen because this agreement will come to pass. And they say peace and safety, and according to 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, a sudden destruction will come upon them.
Well, that split is starting to take place, and he's starting to change his mind, and I believe he will change his mind.
Oh, absolutely. People were saying there for a while, the two-state solution can never happen. It's just, we've got that wrong. You've got that wrong. It's never going to happen. But now we're seeing it.
They've said that, and I said, well, it's going to come back somehow, because that's what the Lord kept, putting in my heart, that was going to come back, and that our leader was part of that process.
Yeah, yeah.
But in order for him to be part of that process, then he's going to have to change his mind about it. And now that change is coming about, and there is a kind of now they ain't mortal enemies. I'm not
Right.
saying that,
Right.
but there's a pressure in between them about who's controlling what.
Yeah.
And our leader loves to have control.
Yes.
So that's what I didn't understand about the vision, that is now becoming so clear that he is actually backed off from Israel now because of that. So there's a little rift there. Well, that's what that vision was saying, because it split. Now, they both were in the blue.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, okay, they're each in the blue, and then the Saudi prince is not in the blue, so he's not being led by the Holy Spirit. They are. That's what I took from it. And I feel like it was that. And
And also, right, that they would not be unified anymore because there was a split. They each being led by the Spirit different ways with different outlooks.
All for the purpose.
All for the same purpose. But see, Israel's going to have their mind changed before this can take place. Right?
Right.
There's going to have to be some pressure. And we also said that. We said there was going to be some kind of pressure. And one of the other things that I said as we were taping that episode that I didn't even think about, I said, there's some kind of a situation, and I'll go back and find that clip.
So next year, the two-state solution, which is going to be pressured by the nations. In fact, the UN has already voted to recognize Palestine as a state.
Oh.
They don't even have one, and they've already voted because the pressure coming. There's like 143 nations has already voted that. Of course, America and Israel haven't yet, but they've already voted to make a Palestinian, and it will be. Of course, Israel's going to say, hey, we can't do this because look what happened in Gaza. So there'll be some kind of part of the policing arrangement. I keep feeling that there's going to be something a little different that will cause Israel to agree to it. Yeah, we'll do it if you do it this way.
Right, like a negotiation.
So, yeah, as long as Hamas can't come back in there, we got the right to police it.
I so feel that.
Yeah, there's something like that going to happen.
That there would be something that happened that Israel would be all right. There would be somebody other than Hamas or other than the Palestinians that would be policing the new state or Palestinian state.
Right.
That Israel would be all right with it. I said that, not even just happened.
Right.
And so that is still what I feel like is coming. I feel like before Israel will accept this, but the pressure to have that two-state solution, is coming.
Right.
And so the UN is having a meeting in June. They're having a meeting on the two-state solution.
On the two-state solution with Saudi Arabia.
With Saudi Arabia, which will be, Saudi Arabia has said that they will not normalize relationship with Israel without the two-state solution.
Okay.
They've said that already.
Yeah.
So that peace and safety that 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 talks about is that agreement of the two-state solution.
Right.
So, we really got a lot of, now that ain't going to happen,
Got a lot of flack for that one.
He's against that now. Israel will never, but that pressure's coming.
And you said that. You said there would be a pressure that came.
There'd be a pressure that came. Okay, so in that vision where that split was, and our leader went left and Israel's leader went right, I didn't realize that those two were going to get a rift like that.
Yeah.
And that's why that was divided. Now, what's weird about it is they're both still being led by the Spirit. I think so because God's word has to come to pass.
Right, yeah.
But God don't want his land divided, and Joel says they'll divide his land.
Right.
Let's go over to that passage, and we'll see that that's going to happen.
Okay.
So we're in Joel chapter 3, verse number 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage, Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations, which happens during the tribulation period, and parted my land.
There it is.
So there it is. There's the two-state solution telling us right there.
Wow.
So what happened is Zephaniah said that Gaza would be forsaken.
Yes.
We're seeing that come to pass.
We had an episode on that as well, so we'll pop that up there.
Yeah, we put that out there and said that it was going to be forsaken and that they would gather together into one place. Well, that means the West Bank now, because that's where the rest of the Palestinians are, Judea and Samaria area, right?
Yeah.
And this is why God gets angry at the end, is because we divide his land. Because he says it's my land. So this division, which is what the two-state solution is all about, where they say peace and safety, you can see all those indicators mounting up now. All right?
Right.
So Gaza had to be forsaken. So Israel's went in there and bombed it, and they're continuing to hammer it hard. And they have killed a lot of people, a lot of the Hamas people. Now, one of the main leaders just got killed, I understand, the other day.
Okay.
So all these parts are starting to go together. Gaza has to be forsaken. The Palestinians have to gather all into one place.
Right.
That's happening.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to divide their land, and they have to come to an agreement according to Daniel 9:27. And that agreement will be what sets off 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, where it says peace and safety. So all of those things are coming together. But that's what I didn't see and I didn't get when the Lord split the blue and put our leader to the left and Israel's leader to the right.
Right.
I didn't see that rift between them.
Yes.
Even though both of them are still in the spirit, in order for God to manifest and for things to come to pass as he said it, this has to take place. And that's where we're at. You would have never thought after our leader and Israel's leader's first meeting that there would be a rift between them.
Right. Absolutely.
But there is. That rift's growing. And it had to. It had to.
It had to happen that way.
It had to happen. And that's what I said. Something's going to happen to change this thing.
You did say that.
And here it comes to pass.
Yes.
And so that's where we're at. You know, we're seeing Zephaniah being fulfilled.
Uh-huh.
We're seeing this rift between our leader and Israel's leader.
Yes.
We're seeing this summit coming up,
right.
promoting this.
Right.
Saudi Arabia is in there, and Saudi Arabia is saying, we won't normalize, we won't make that chord
right.
until Israel and Palestine, that whole situation has been taken care of with the two-state solution. So that's where we're at. What's wild is it's coming to pass. And those things we said in those other episodes are there.
Yes.
So keep praying. The heifer is going to be sacrificed.
Right. We got plenty of time for that. If it hasn't already happened, we don't know.
Well, the immediate word of the Lord that came is this is going to happen. And then I felt, well, it's going to happen in the spring. So I said the spring.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm still maintaining that was part of the revelation I got was the spring. So we're looking for that.
Well, we know that has to happen first.
It has to happen before they can build the temple.
Right.
Well, not before they can build it, before they can use it.
Right.
So it has to happen. So we're into that too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's a lot of wild things going on. So our leader is on a trip right now that had to happen for this to take place.
Okay.
So when this rift, this cut between our leader and Israel's leader,
right,
our leader goes over to the Middle East and goes to Saudi Arabia.
Right.
And he has this meeting. And he doesn't go to Israel. So that tells you there's some tension going on there.
Okay.
So the Saudi prince, and they almost have a brotherly love going on here.
They do.
And we were talking about, after that vision, that the crown princess basically got in between our leader and Israel's leader. That's what that vision.
It was in the middle.
It was in the middle. And it kind of split them. So he had got in the middle. And that's kind of what's going on because of the trade. See, our leader's vision is to make us great again.
Yes.
And so it's an economic vision.
Right.
So whenever Israel started going back into Gaza and they started taking over and saying they were going to stay there, that caused the rift.
Right.
Because our leader had a vision for Gaza too.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but that's fulfilling Zephaniah, because Zephaniah said that Gaza would be forsaken.
Mm-hmm.
And then he said, gather together, O nation undesired. Well, that means we had part of the Palestinians down in Gaza, and we had part of the Palestinians over in the West Bank area.
Mm-hmm.
So now they got to go somewhere. So I feel like a lot of them will end up over at the West Bank, and that'll put more pressure. But that had to happen. There had to be this rift between our leader and Israel for this to happen. So now our leader is in Saudi Arabia, and of course he got a gift from Qatar. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yes.
Or however you pronounce it. Anyway, he got a $400 million plane, and I watched something where our plane's 40 years old. We needed to have it updated anyway.
Right.
So they wouldn't really, people, the two parties, not the party he was elected by is having a really hard time with this
Yes,
about
yes,
the
yes.
plane. So he's also went down into Syria and lifted the sanctions off of that. Of course, Syria is a main player because the Assyrian, which is who the Antichrist is. Syria was where the Seleucus kingdom was.
Right.
It was within Syria, and it's the king of the north. So when you go through Daniel 11, you see the king of the north. It was Syrian kings, which was Seleucus, which had Babylon in it.
Oh my goodness.
So all this stuff, all these pieces of the puzzle are starting to go together, just like the scripture actually says. All right.
Wow.
So I'm looking to see what's going to happen here in June.
In June, it will be exciting to see what transpires at that meeting for the two-state solution and what they decide.
Well, the UN has already voted that Palestine have a state. And there was, like 6 countries, and the United States was one, and Israel was one that said, no, they shouldn't. But I'm not so sure we're going to get a different vibe from our country now.
Right.
Which is going to put more pressure.
More pressure.
Because, all right, let's look at this. The weapons and stuff that Israel used to bomb these people, right? That's coming from the United States, basically.
Right.
So if they start not getting the ammunition they need, that's going to put even more pressure. So when this two-state solution, because the world is just tired of this war.
I know.
And they're tired of all the conflict. So we got Russia and the Ukraine into a spat, right? We got Pakistan and India into the spat.
Yeah.
We had Israel and the Palestinians or Hamas into a spat. And we had the Houthis shooting out the rockets.
Right.
And I mean, we've been wars and rumors of wars, And then we got Iran doing what they're going to do. And I really don't think that the president will let Iran have a nuclear weapon. I think he's making a deal to make their, how high the grade on their uranium is lower. I think that's his thought.
Right.
But our world's getting tired of this conflict. So the UN, I think that's why they're pushing here in June.
Safety.
Yes. So we can get this conflict out of the way. Maybe we can work on these other ones. So the peace and safety thing, and that's, they're saying peace all the time.
They are. Yes.
So when they say peace and safety, when they finally get this put together, which is what's coming, then they'll put it, and then it says sudden destruction will come. So it'll only last about 3.5 years, and then it will be World 3, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where we're at. So the things that came to pass, we said our leader would be elected.
Yes, against all of the other odds of the news media.
We said there would be a rift between United States and Israel.
Yep.
Pretty much what that vision was showing.
You said Gaza would be forsaken because that was biblical.
We said that Gaza would be forsaken because of Zephaniah, and that the Palestinians would be gathered together, which they were split. So that's coming to pass. And so what's yet to come to pass is the red heifer. And then, as we had prophesied about the two-state solution, about the 70th week of Daniel starting, it appears, according to your husband's vision.
Of October, that's another thing that's coming up.
October. So it looks like it's at sometime in October. And also, remember, I seen the vision on, I watched the video on Apophis, and the Lord said for me to calculate back that it was going to happen. So
you'll be able to report if you got that prophecy right, because we will be in heaven.
We'll know. Once we get out of this body, we'll know what all the prophecies come to pass. I'm sure we'll get to see all that. But that, if you calculate back from Apophis, you're back into October. So, there's lots of things happening that we've been saying, and then now it looks like it's really coming to pass. So just keep praying, staying with us. We're not trying to be spectacular here. We're just trying to warn you where we are and where we're going. So let's keep our loved ones prayed up, and let's keep praying for them. And when this two-state solution covenant takes place, which we think is in October now.
Yes.
Let's make sure that we tell our loved ones to be ready, because we've got to be ready for the Lord to come back. And we've got to have our hearts right and able to endure giving our lives for him and becoming martyrs for Christ, which is going to be a blessed event when we get to see him face to face. I'm looking so forward to that.
It used to scare me to talk about the end times, especially since you have been sure for a long time that it would be during our lifetimes. Even before the Lord started pouring this out into you, you were already saying, I know the Lord told me that it's going to be during my lifetime, but now I'm excited.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so excited. I'm like, oh, we're almost there.
It's there.
We're almost there. And we have so many great things to come. And what a time to be alive. We want to see you in heaven.
It's a simple prayer. Just say, Lord, please come into my heart. Forgive me for my sins. Wash me in your blood. And you will live with him forever.
If you are enjoying the content and would like to support our ministry, you can do so through Venmo or PayPal. Our handle is @CardingTruth, or use our QR code. And as always, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. It's so exciting to see prophetic words come to pass and to see them when we're actually in the middle of them coming to pass. We are so glad that you're here, and we would love if you would drop us a comment down below. We love to hear your feedback. We read all of those and we try to respond to all those. We want to also thank our subscribers, and if you haven't subscribed yet, we would love if you would like, subscribe, and click the bell for more notifications. We are in such an exciting time. So every day I feel like we find out more incredible things that are happening, and Jesus is not far from his return. Be blessed.